see, or don't you like the black ones?
I would say I don't like, yeah.
Be honest. You
I don't like the black people.
Why not?
Just because. We were reared in...
It's like that. I don't like black people either.
There you go. So it's just, you don't like black people. I don't like black people.
It's like me, I don't like... But you don't have a reason for it. Then it's just pure racism, no?
It's not racism. It is how we were reared that way. And so you just don't like black people.
Are they so different? I mean, am I so different of you? Is a black man a woman so different of you?
Yes.
In which ways? Enlighten me.
They might have the education, they might have the money, they might have whatever. But the fact remains is they're still black.
So what? So what?
What? They're black. It's just, it's a... When I grew up as a young girl, we had apartheid era, and that is how we were reared. The white man, then the colored man, then the black man. And where's my sugar? White man, black man, colored man, Indian, and then the black man.
As wild and as tragic as it sounds, that is as simple as it is. This woman doesn't know why she hates black people, and she doesn't know why she hates herself. She's been taught by white supremacists to hate herself, and in doing so also hate black people. What she doesn't realize is that she hates her community. She hates her children. She will hate any child that is black, assimilating. Anybody who looks blacker than what she is, she's going to hate them. She has no idea why. This is why in the colored community there's still segregation amongst colored people, because they've been taught a thing and they themselves haven't thought it through. They haven't questioned it. They have no idea why they have the type of self-hatred and hatred for other people, other than it has been taught by white people for you to hate yourself. Truth of the matter is that Auntie probably has more Bantu, Nguni and Kwe blood than anything else, and she doesn't realize that she's been taught to hate herself. That's how simple it is. People don't realize what indoctrination really is.
So you can just see for yourself how much people hate black people. Somebody just has a lot of hate because someone else is black. They have not done you any wrong. You just hate someone because they have a black skin. What is it with this black skin that we have that people don't like? What is it about it? Some people are just racist by nature. And we can't blame them. As sister said, you can't blame them. They've been taught this way. It has been cultivated in their mind. And so their minds need to be decolonized. They have to be taught and they have to be educated about who we truly are. Because if I look at that woman and how she is, come on, we have so many black people who are better off than her, you see? And I'm not pointing that woman only, because we have so many of them, so many. This one just brought herself forward. And this is just the mentality that the white supremacists have put into our mind. This is the 21st century and Africans need to be reawakened. Africans need to realize that we are no longer taking the back seat. Africans, we are going to take the front seat. Even the person who was interviewing that woman was surprised by how she was speaking. You see, the guy was surprised. You could tell by his tone, you could tell by his answers and his questions. He was surprised. Just a lot of hate. Why does the black person has to be hated? Why do we, even Africans, even we ourselves as Africans, we have colorism problem? Africans, we have xenophobia. Africans, we don't love one another. Actually, a sister also shared that African Americans, not really African Americans, but Africans, will laugh at other Africans who are darker than them. Come on, it's like I myself am laughing at someone who is darker than me. What's that? In the eyes of the white man, we are all black. Does not matter what, we are all black. So I don't think that really matters who is black, who is white. As long as we all have that good heart of doing the good things, that is what matters. And we need just to decolonize our minds, because I'm really afraid how our children are going to grow up. I'm really afraid how our children are going to be brought up, my child, my sisters, my brothers, because this thing is very sickening. It's sad, it's bad, you know. African Americans are leaving USA and coming back to Africa to reconnect. We can't have such people who are against black skin talk bad against us. They have to change their mindset. They have to learn something about their mindset. We don't need people who speak bad. We need them to reform. We need them to speak well. They need to be educated. That is what they need to do. And so in this particular episode of video, I went all the way to a university here in Kenya, one of the top, not even one of the, it's the top university we have in Kenya. I did an interview with a lecturer, and he gave out very, very important notes, very important information about the identity of African. And also we touched on the identity of African Americans and how much Ghana is important to African Americans. Yes, Ghana is important to African Americans and the African people. Ghana is the gateway to West Africa. Also, Ghana is the gateway to Africa. That is it. So without further ado, let's dive into the video. And don't forget, never be ashamed of your black skin. Never be ashamed. There is something about our black skin that those people fear. So be proud of that. Just be proud of who and what you're made of. Let's dive in. Hello.
Hello.
I'm Evans. What's your name?
I'm Thuku Kimani.
Okay. Thank you for accepting the interview.
Yeah, that's all right.
So I have an important question to ask you. It's about Africa. So how much do you know about Africa?
Well, you can never know enough, but we learn every day. But I am a good student of African affairs. I try to learn more every day about Africa.
Yes.
Yep. So, yeah. What specifically do you want to know about Africa that from me?
Okay. So today I'm going to ask you about African Americans moving back to Ghana. You as a young Kenyan man, what do you think of Ghana welcoming African Americans back to Africa?
I think, well, we've had this conversation before about Jamaicans moving back to Ethiopia. They went back to Shashamane. Whatever happened to them is a case of history. Whoever wants to go back wherever should go back. The truth of the matter is African Americans have their roots in many African countries, not just Ghana. But some of them have done their research and found out that they came from specific countries. For instance, I think Idris Elba found out that he's a Liberian. His roots are in Liberia, and he goes back there to contribute. If they are to go back to Ghana and make contributions to the economy, currently Ghana is not doing well, you know that. They are struggling, the economy is struggling. If they can go back and contribute to the socio-economic well-being of that country, then good enough. It's a good emotion to have. Yeah. On the other hand, I don't know. It doesn't really, on the face value, portend any kind of harm for Ghana. So if Ghanaians open their arms to the African Americans who want to go back there, heck, let it happen. If others want to come to Kenya, si wakuje. Yes.
So some people are complaining, and some black Americans, let me use black Americans, they are saying that they are not Africans, and so even the issue of calling back African Americans to Ghana is something that should not be happening. So some people are saying it's just a rumors, that the government of Ghana is broke and they're trying to rip off from African Americans. What do you think of this?
The question of identity is not just a simplistic term of definition. The question of identity, for instance, if I'm Kenyan and I prefer to identify as a Congolese, if the Americans do not want to identify with Africa, it's their choice.
Yes.
One true thing is we associate all black people to have originated from Africa.
Yes.
But that does not make all black people Africans. We consider ourselves, you and I consider ourselves Kenyans because we were born in Kenya. But if you were born in Gabon, you'll have been Gabonese. If you were born in Liberia, you'll have been Liberian. If you were born in Tunisia, you'll have been Tunisian. So let us not tie the concept of identity to just geographical location of a person. But at the same time, if you want to identify your geographical location as your pure and true identity, then who are we to deny you that kind of identification? So the concept of calling, the Americans of black origin, African Americans, is not here nor there. For me, I see it as a politically correct way of avoiding to call them black Americans, which is, what was there before, or calling them Negroes or niggers. It was just a way of trying to pacify that situation. Otherwise, what makes the difference between a European man who emigrated to US, are they called European Americans?
No.
How about the people from Asia? Are they called Asian Americans?
No.
Then why African Americans? If someone is an American, they're just an American. So I find that to just be a political term to try and make them look different or sound different. But anyway, if they do not want the African term, let them avoid it. But if the Americans also don't want them to be pure Americans, let them deal with that situation then.
Okay, good question. So I believe you said something about identity. You said that according to you, you see as African Americans, or rather Black Americans, are Africans, but they just choose not to call themselves Africans.
So let me correct that. Let me correct that notion. What goes into our identity? There are many facets of our identity. You can choose to identify based on your ethnicity. You can choose to identify based on your religion. You can choose to identify based on your geographical locale. For instance, what makes us Kenyans? It's because we were born in a geographical location that identifies as a nation state of Kenya.
Yes.
So if they were born in a nation state called America, then that makes them Americans.
Yes.
Without any other hyphenation.
Yes.
So the fact that they are dark-skinned and the fact that the largest population of dark-skinned people is in Africa does not qualify ordinarily to be Africans. Of course, there's that history of slavery, that slaves were taken from Africa and then they were taken there, and their descendants are the current African Americans or Black Americans, as you want to call them. But the fact that this generation that we have, they were born American. And because America is a place where, the original Americans are not those people who
The
are
Red
there.
Indians.
Yes.
They are now in
Everyone
museums.
there is an immigrant.
Yes.
So why then don't they have another category of European Americans, Asian Americans? Why just African Americans? So I think it's Americans just need to deal with their collective trauma and solve their situations without involving our nice continent into their own problems. Yes.
Do you think coming to Africa is able to heal African Americans of the historical racism, the political, the social, you know, they experience a lot of injustices. Every day it's out there in the news, African American this, African American that. Do you think coming to Africa will be able to hail these our brothers and sisters?
Absolutely not. Let everyone deal with their traumas where it is they experience those traumas.
Yes.
Let them face their fears and traumas
Yes.
where they are. Yes. Because the reality of an American in America, whether they are black, white, blue, yellow, or whatever color, is an American experience. It's very different from the experience in Africa.
Yes.
Whether that experience in Africa is being experienced by a person of whatever kind. So it does not mean that the African experience will heal the American experience. Let everyone heal from the disease they are suffering. And the disease they are suffering is that American disease.
Yeah.
So they cannot come and heal it in Africa because Africa is not medicine for Americans.
Okay. So, do you think the president of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, is making a wise move by allowing the people of African descent, African Americans, to move there? See, it's not only happening in Ghana. Right now, our neighbors, Rwanda, they allowed visa-free. Anyone can go to Rwanda.
Well, even our president in Kenya is doing the same.
Do you think it's a wise thing?
I am an advocate. I am a passionate advocate of an Africa that is free for all to move around.
Yes.
I don't see why you need such an expensive visa to go to an African country. Because the chances that we are improving are chances to, learn from one another, chances to improve our trade. Africa is the largest continent in population. But we don't benefit from that kind of advantage that we have because there's no way, right now, there are so many trade barriers, it's almost impossible for you to sell something to a Nigerian. I'm sure there's something the Congolese people would want to consume from us.
Yes.
There's something we would want to buy from the Malawians. But we have made our borders to become, the great walls of China.
Of China, yeah. So
Almost
hard.
very impregnable. If you ask me, African countries should shed that rigidity of the colonial borders and allow ourselves to live. Heck, it's almost a whole generation after colonialism. Why would we want to keep holding on to the colonial heritage of balkanizing one another? That parochial mentality is what needs to go. Any president who feels that there's something they have to protect in their country that they cannot allow other Africans to enter, this needs to go. Africa does not need that kind of attitude.
Okay. So, as a young African man, what do you think of the Ghanaian people and the country of Ghana? Ghana has a very significant history to those African Americans because Ghana is called the gate to Africa. In Ghana, we have the Cape Coast Castle, the Enmina Castle. Anytime anyone...
And the door of no return.
And the door of no return. Anytime anybody watches that or sees that, it reminds us of a significant thing. Which begs also another question, which is, do you think Ghana is the greatest of all time, a country in Africa?
That's debatable. That's debatable. Everyone has their greatness. Of course, Ghana was one of the first countries to attain independence. They had a good economic boom fueled by their cocoa and copper. Right now, they might not be doing well economically, but when one African country suffers, the next one is also, in some sort of trouble.
Yes.
So we can only wish them well. For the question you had asked earlier, I think Nana Akufo-Addo is doing well to open the borders. I think Kagame is doing well.
Yes.
Ruto is also doing well to open the borders.
Yes,
We encourage even the others to open the borders. What is it that you are hiding in your country that is so special that cannot be consumed by other Africans? Let us keep our borders open. On the other issue that you've asked about Ghana being the greatest country, I don't believe that is a dialogue that we should be having. I think each country has a strength. For instance, some of the best universities in Africa are in Kenya, in South Africa, but Ghana also has certain advantages.
Let me cut you short.
Yes.
I added the history of African Americans because
I get you. I get you. They have that history. But do you know slave trade was practiced even in the east coast of Africa? Yes. So I think each country of Africa, you know that in our beloved Kenya, some of the oldest fossils, and we say Kenya is the cradle of mankind.
Yes.
But that does not mean that we should go and claim the flag of being the greatest country in Africa. So I think each African country has made its fair contribution, and it is important that we celebrate each of them. We celebrate each of them for the fair share that they've contributed. Give everyone their flowers, and let's stop the competition, let's stop the growling, let's try to develop one another. But yes, Ghana is a great African country.
Yeah. You are so well equipped with information about Ghana and Africa, So there's an important question I'd love to ask you. You see, it's said that some of our ancestors sold those ancestors to slavery. And right now, we had King Charles. King Charles was in Kenya the other day. He was apologizing on behalf of the Great Britain. So do you think Black Americans are entitled to reparations from Africans?
Oh la la, if we are to go back to all the traumas that Africa has suffered, we can even just go back to, the Democratic Republic of Congo, where a mad Belgian king murdered 10 million Africans.
Is it Napoleon?
No.
Leopold.
Yes. Yeah. He murdered like 10 million, Africans. If we are to look back to history and start counting the scars of war, or start counting the traumas that Africans have suffered, there are so many. My feeling is that let us learn from that and try to trudge on and build now another history of success.
Yes.
But if we keep waiting for apologies, because what difference did the apology or the acknowledgement by King Charles make? It made no difference, because that does not resurrect the dead.
No,
that does not heal the wounds of those who are injured.
Yes.
And right now, you and I, we are almost the third or fourth generation after our grandfathers and great-grandfathers suffered under the hands of, the regime, of the colonial regime of UK. So, should we try to build our country, or should we practice the habit of victimhood and crying about what was done to our grandfathers? Heck, they fought for us, they succeeded, and here we are. I believe if our grandfathers were to wake up, they would tell us, shut up, stop whining, and start fighting the ghosts of the new generation. We need to deal with technology. We need to deal with ignorance. We need to make sure that we have a literacy rate of 100%. Right now, there are so many people who are not going to school. We are still fighting basic diseases. Okay? We are still fighting basic diseases. Up to now, bado watoto wanapatiwa immunization ya polio. When you think about it, it means we have not won against even diseases that other, Americans won against many years ago. So we are still importing medicine. We are still importing food. Let us deal with that. Just waiting for a colonial monarch to come here and apologize and feel that that is victory, I believe that is belittling what our great-grandfathers and grandfathers did for our country.
So, okay, now we have to end the interview. Alright, so I just wanted to look at the, you can either tell me or look at the camera. You can give a message to the African Americans and also we should acknowledge what Ghana is doing for African Americans. And, Ghana is the people living there, so that will also include a message to the Ghanaians apart from the African Americans.
All right, Ghanaians, you are amazing people. Yeah, Ghanaians, you are amazing people. You're our brothers. If you've decided to extend the hand, welcoming hand to American brothers, that's a good thing. I think that is something that should be happening across Africa. Welcome everyone. Do not just welcome African Americans, but have a problem with Kenyans, Rwandese, and other Africans. Let us open our borders without prejudice and without favoritism, and let us open the borders for a good purpose, to improve our education, to improve our trade, and yeah, let us continue being passionate about Africa.
Yes.
And yeah, I congratulate you for being very passionate about Africa.
Thank you.
And wanting to understand more about Africa. Let us continue learning more about Africa. For instance, go and understand more about Nigeria.
Nigeria.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nigeria is, I love Nigeria.
Yes.
Because Nigeria has also suffered many traumas. Inflicted from outside and self-inflicted, up to and including what happened during the Biafran War between 1967 and 1971, and the coups that they've had up to now, that they can be able to afford a democracy, although that's also still in debate. And to the point now, you know, they've suffered many traumas, including from Boko Haram and many others, Niger Delta Avengers. But the country is still strong and trudging on.
Yes.
Let us forge forward to the future of Africa.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That was our...
Okay, you didn't say a message to the African Americans.
Oh, African Americans, you are welcome anytime to Africa. Any African country is good for you if you feel you're here. But also fight for your space in America. You guys are Americans. If you're born in America, you have an equal right to be an American. So fight for your space there, but also welcome here. Come, let us trade. Come, let us create a good ecosystem for our children and our future.
Yes.
Thank you.
Would you welcome an African American to your house?
Let them come.
To your own house?
Why not? The same way I welcome my friends and anyone else,
yes,
to come and enjoy,
yes,
some dinner or for a birthday party or for whatever.
Yes.
Why not an African American? What makes them different? They are human like me.
Yes.
If you cut,
skin.
Race and nationhood is skin deep.
Yes.
The rest is human.
The problem is even Africans are having problem with colorism. Colorism is becoming a big problem in Africa. People are shying away from
that. That is acknowledged, but as I said, identity is a very fluid subject, because sometimes identity also comes with a certain level of prejudice. If you know what is good, avoid prejudice. Let your identity just be your sense of pride, but not prejudice.
Yes.
Yes. Can we end it there?
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
All right.
Yes.